property to a lender as security for a debt or obligation. And the lender is called the pledgee. What happens if the borrower doesn't pay? If the borrower doesn't pay back the debt, the lender can sell the pledged property and keep the money. What money? The lender has the power to sell the property even though the pledger still owns it. What's the bailment? A pledge is a type of security interest, while a bailment is a type of deposit. A bailment agreement governs the lender's interest in the property while it's being held as security. What's the law around pledges? In England are generally similar when it comes to pledges. In some U.S. states, the common law still applies, while in others, the factor has more or less restricted power to give a title by pledge. From Cornell, a promise. 2, a type of security interest in which a lender takes possession of personal property as security for an obligation. Cornell, another one is a pledge agreement is just another name for a security agreement which creates a security interest in equity, and promissory notes. A bailment, this is coming from the lawdictionary.org. A bailment or delivery of goods by a debtor to his creditor to be kept till the debt lie discharged. What is considered a pledge or a promise? A pledge is basically a very serious formal promise. You could pledge allegiance to your country. You could pledge to keep a secret, and you could pledge a sum of money to a cause. Pledge can be used as both a noun and a verb. As a noun, it could be a solemn promise you made. What is the essential conditions of a pledge? From Section 172 of the Indian Contract Act, the essential ingredients of a pledge can be A, the property pledge should be delivered to the pawn. B, delivery should be in pursuance of a contract. C, delivery should be for the purpose of security. What is the full meaning of pledge? To make a serious or formal promise to give or to do something. We're asking people to pledge their support for our campaign. What makes a pledge legally binding? A written pledge agreement should describe the offer by the donor, the acceptance by the charity, the term of the pledge, and any conditions. To establish consideration, the agreement should state what the charity will do in exchange for the promised donation. Is the pledge a commitment? I'm pretty sure. A pledge is a commitment or a promise made by an individual or organization to do something or refrain from doing something. In the context of finances, a pledge is a security interest in an asset that is used as collateral for a loan. What is an example of a pledge of law? Illustration: A borrows R's 5,000 from B and delivers 500 shares of a company as a security for the payment of the debt. The bailment of shares. What are pledging requirements? Refers to a legal or bureaucratic stipulation that marketable and actively traded securities be pledged as collateral for public fund or other specific deposits. What's the difference between legal pledge and a conventional pledge? Conventional pledge is that which is constituted by the mutual consent of the pledger and the pledgee.
Eddie.
What is legal pledge? A legal pledge is that which is created by operation of law. It refers to the right to retain a thing until he receives payment for his claim. What is a pledge in layman's terms?
Game over.
Pledge is a promise or commitment to do something. It can also refer to a type of agreement where someone gives something valuable, like a piece of jewelry or a car, as security for a loan. This valuable item is called a pledge. Is a pledge an oath? Yes, a pledge can be a type of oath, but not all pledges are oaths. An oath is solemn promise, while a pledge is a commitment. Let's see. Does a pledge agreement need to be notarized? By signing this form, the officer authorizes the individual listed to release pledge securities. This signature must be notarized. This signature must be notarized. Does a pledge agreement need to be notarized? For a formal pledge agreement, there's no requirements to have a signature notarized by a professional. That was coming from GiveButter.com. And when I sign right here, by signing this form, the officer authorizes the individuals listed to release pledge securities. This signature must be notarized. That's coming from FRBservices.com. That's it. Looks like, what are the rules of a pledge? The pledgee has a right of selling the pledge if the pledger fails to make payment at a stipulated time. No title to a third-party purchaser is guaranteed following a wrongful sale, except in the case of property passing by delivery, such as money or negotiable securities. What is the act of pledging? A solemn promise or agreement to do or refrain from doing something. A pledge of aid, a pledge not to wage war, something delivered as security for a payment of a debt or fulfillment of a promise and subject to forfeiture on failure to pay or fulfill a promise. Synonymous: guarantee, surety, warranty. What constitutes a pledge? I think that's it. Who can make valid pledge? As per Section 179 of the Indian Contract Act, the pledge between the partner have limited interest and the pawnee can be valid. If during the pledge the pawnee acts in good faith and does not know about the title of the goods, the pledge between a co-owner and the pawnee can be valid if he has the consent of the co-owner. That's it for that one. How to invoke a pledge. In the case of invocation of a pledge, the securities are transferred from the pledge balances of the pledger to the pledgee's beneficial owner account. The initiation of the same travels to the pledger's DP through DM, and the status of the pledge is changed to closed, invoked. What is a deed of pledge? Deed of pledge means that certain agreement and deed of first right of pledge, that certain disclosed deed of pledge of bank account receivables, and that certain undisclosed deed of pledge of movable assets and such other documents or instruments reasonably determined by lender to the necessary in connection. That's it. Pledge. From dictionary.law. To pledge is the same as to pawn. To promise to do something. Wikipedia. Pledge is a bailment that conveys title to property owned by a debtor, the pledger, to the creditor, the pledgee, to secure repayment for some debt. To bind. I just can't, sorry for the bodyguard. Pledge security meaning. Pledge security meaning. Is it?
Nothing. I understand that if somebody owes me money,
A certificate does not always show how much is paid.
A toilet, grand rise, great grand awakening, noble mind. You see it? Peace be upon the world. Peace and light. It's hard to have peace in a time like this. Be deceived. Pale people doing crazy stuff right here. Pardon me. I have to redact that. These actors and public officials here at the post office. I put a return to sender. They tore the label off and put it back in the mailbox. I got in touch with the man acting, well, what they call a department. Who are you deporting? Sheriff Department. To talk to the man acting as sheriff, to report these things happening in his county or parish, correct? To no avail, in dishonor. Constitutional officer, private man, a private being. I redact that, pardon me. A private being, private people. Living spirit, living soul on the land, trying to report a federal crime to no avail. What will we do with that man acting as a government agent, foreign agent? Probably whose contract is not even correct. They're probably trying to fix it right now in deception. Because I requested for the his oath of office. FOIA request for the oath of office. I wouldn't like your job. That's your job. Got it, Trish. That's it, then. It's not my job, your job. What president? God's my president. Who's yours? Them boy put man over them creator. You know, them boy put man over them creator. For assassin. For the bodyguard.
Federal taxes user.
EFT.
In all times and all points in time.
No pro-tonk.
Capitalist diminutions.
So it has to be in all English.
Jason Paul, living soul, for life and emotion. No proton. To the day of transition.
Retain to the Most High.
In fact, in general and durable. To the omniverse and universe. Retain to the Most High, Heavenly Father.
A lot.
Good. Allah. Yes. I would say that law comes after the Most High.
I'm on bando.
In fact, the law is changing a lot of my aspects. Under God is eternal Most High.
Primordial. Hold that horn from me again. Transfers and assignments. I'm on the bando. I'm just saying though. And emotion. I am that I am. I am who I say I am. Not who you say I am. Who are you? A non-belligerent non-combatant. A non-belligerent non-combatant. One of my albums. Non-belligerent non-combatant. Accepting oaths. A non-belligerent non-combatant. Accepting oaths. It's gonna be a song. Non-belligerent non-combatant. Accepting oaths. Beneficiaries youth. Isn't it for our benefit? Trustees, fiduciaries, full faith and credit. Cease and desist and stand down, soldier. Cease and desist and stand down, soldier. As well as the Title 4101. Non-believer, non-combatant. Accepted oaths. Non-believer, non-combatant. Accepted oaths. Last song, then, brother. Last song, then, brother. Shout out Willie D. Houston, Texas. Of creation would be meant to be. We don't murder, called abortion. Will eventually stop. AI. What is change? What's wrong with these people? Them crazy, man. Chemicals in the food population. It's such an alien. Dog gone crazy. The mutt's gone crazy, man. Laws of nature they just can't face. With these people, don't they know they'll stumble? Technology. Energy. Walk the streets, laws of nature they just can't.
shall say the human race? Who shall say them? Who shall say them? Who shall say them? Why must change? Who shall say the human shame? Who shall say the pain? Who shall say the human race? 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 Who shall say the pain? Who shall say the human race?
This is a big disgrace. It said public official, man acting as public official. That's you? The man acting as public official. You know?
Up to chapter 31, chapter 33, chapter 34, chapter 35.
I don't own the rights to
And
no
what we're looking
background.
at is Title 5, 333. So we're going to be
The
in
whole
chapter
all
33,
rights to the
examination,
background.
selection, and placement. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and open that up. And when we get into Title 5, United States Code, Chapter 33, examination,
Chapter
selection,
33.
and placement, understand that what I am getting ready to show you is how you hold these people accountable, and you can impeach them and bring charges of treason against them. And I'm going to show you how to do it. Ultimately, it's we, the American people, that are supposed to be doing this. So everybody's going, well, the FBI doesn't do it. The federal groups, the ATF, the DEA, all these groups don't do any of this. That's because it's our duty. This holding them accountable for their acts of aggression and mixed war against the Constitution and violating your own unalienable rights, it is your duty to hold them accountable. So we're going to go ahead and open up Chapter 2, Oath of Office. It's 3331 through 3333. A lot of people just
3331. 3333.
expand any further because they just regurgitate what they've heard. They don't actually go in and read it.
3331
I'm going to
through
express it to you this evening.
3333
So,
of Title
you
5.
can't see the screen. You can follow along with me. And we're in Title 5, United States
We
Code
appreciate you
3331, Oath of Office.
for reading for us
An
there.
individual, so the president doesn't have to do this, but an individual does. Except the president elected or appointed to an office or office of honor or profit in civil services or uniform services. So we need to break this down a little bit. So an elected or appointed to an office, the governor can appoint people into offices, okay? And the state of is a subsidiary corporation of the parent corporation known as the United States. So when your public officials are telling you they don't have to comply with Title 5, United States Code 3331, they're sadly mistaken because they're operating under the Reorganization Act of 1871, and they're operating a subsidiary corporation of the parent corporation known as the United States, which is found in Title 28, 3002, 15A, B, and C. And we'll do that as well. So an individual except the president, all right? The president is exempted from the Title 5, 3331, all right? Because he's got a completely different oath of office that he takes. Elected or appointed. So this
You other
applies
public
to your city council,
officials.
your county council. It applies to your mayor. It applies to the
5
police chief. It applies to
USC
the sheriff's department,
3331
the sheriff's deputies, all of
3332
them are
3333
either elected or appointed to an office of
Title
honor,
4 101
or if they're elected or appointed to an office for profit in a civil service or uniformed service, shall take the following oath, okay? In this context, shall means they must. And it says I, AB, I, their name. And when they're saying AB, we're talking full legal name. First, middle, and last. Okay, if they do it first name, middle initial, last name, that is not their full legal name, and they did not properly take the Title V United States Code 3331.
The man named
office,
Cuvion
which means they did not fill the oath of office.
did not
or
have a
fill the
proper
office,
oath.
of the seat, or fill the seat of office.
Man
to
acting as
enforce anything
sheriff
against you. Okay, so
before this one.
full name, full legal name. That's first, middle, and last. They solemnly swear, or they can affirm, right? If swearing is against their religious beliefs, there are no religious qualifications for the oath. So if swearing is something that would violate their religious beliefs, they can, in lieu of swearing, they can affirm, okay? That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely. This is important. When they say that I take this obligation freely, it means of their own free will and volition. They weren't coerced into doing this. They're not under threat, duress, and coercion via disarms. They are taking this freely of their own free volition.
The letter of the law.
Without any mental reservations, meaning without any opinion as to what their oath and duties are, okay?
Don't forget
So
about
without
the
any
obligations.
mental reservations. Understand that when they
Duties
take this
and
oath, Title
obligations.
V, United States Code 3331, oath of office, is the office for profit and gain. All right? This is under the Reorganization Act. They are swearing an oath and allegiance to engage in profit and gain. All right? And I'm going to show you the organic oath that they have to take as well. All right? But when we're dealing with the Title V, United States Code 3331 oath of office, it's very imperative that you comprehend that this is the oath they must take and hold in order to be engaged in profit and gain in civil services. All right?
I
This
hope
is
you
the new
do.
oath under the Reorganization Act of 1871. And they've got to take this oath freely without any mental reservations. Of their own
We have
free
a
will,
Freedom
without
of
any mental
Information Act
reservations
request for those
of
oaths.
evasion. Evasion, ladies and gentlemen, is to abscond from their duty. They now have a duty. The oath is for life, ladies and gentlemen. And when they take this
Cuvion.
oath, they become
For life.
foreign to the sovereign states. And now they're part of the United
Can I see that
States,
foreign
okay,
registration?
which is a foreign territory and jurisdiction, wholly single and separate from the Union of States, all 50 states. So Washington, D.C.,
Registered in
Columbia,
Canada
is
somewhere,
not
correct?
part of the United States, the Union of States, okay? And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties, all right? This is talking about the duties that they have of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God is optional. Remember, there's no religious qualifications for filling a seat or an office, okay? So this is optional. And most often you will see this on their oath in all capital letters. And when it's in all capital letters, it says nothing. And
Disqualification,
sometimes you'll see words throughout their
termination.
oath that are in all capital letters. And if that has occurred,
Null and
they have
void
not
ab initio.
followed the law, because the law says that English is the language in the United States of America.
Void from
and
the
all
beginning.
legal documents must be in English, period, full stop. Okay? This section does not affect other oaths required by law. So they're telling you right here, there are other oaths that are required by law. Now, when you go look up a police officer's oath of office, a sheriff's oath of office, a judge's oath of office, senators, congressmen, so on and so forth, you will find they never have this oath. All right? And if they do have this oath, it's something similar, but they don't ever fill it out verbatim, word for word. And therefore, they didn't take the proper oath. Okay? The next thing that we're going to talk about is this section does not affect other oaths required by law. Why are they saying this? Well, they're telling you that, for example, the state of Nebraska has its own oath to fill offices, okay, or the seat of office. All right, so here's another oath that's required by law by the state individually, okay? We're going to go back because we're not done with Title V under oaths of office. So now we understand that they must have this oath verbatim. They must use their full legal name. Okay?
Full
And it must be witnessed by somebody who's qualified to administer an oath.
legal
Most often
name.
it's never done properly.
Not a
It must
DBA,
also be recorded
not an assumed business name, not a
in
trade
time frame
name.
of less than 30 days. Okay? Now,
Same one on that
if
birth
they do
certificate,
have this oath,
correct? Live
we're talking
birth.
about public officials. Because remember,
Let me
this
see
is
that.
for a position of honor or profit in civil services or uniformed services. So this literally covers everybody. We're going to hit next. We're going to go to Title V, United States Code 3332, Officer Affidavit, no consideration paid for appointment. Okay? So the reason that this is imperative and so important is because nobody talks about it. First of all, they just regurgitate what they hear, and they never get the full concept of the performance that is expected. After they've taken the Title V United States Code 3331, which we've already established is for profit and gain, the next thing that they have to do is an affidavit launched to their oath of office. An officer, within 30 days
30
after
days.
the effective date of his appointment, all right, shall file with the oath. This is how you know that it's launched to the oath. An affidavit must be launched to the oath. Shall file with the oath of office required by Section 3331 of this title, Title V, an affidavit that neither he nor anyone acting in his behalf has given,
I hope you're listening.
transferred, promised, or paid any consideration for or in the expectation or hope of receiving assistance in securing the appointment. All right? So, not only do they have to have the Title V 3331 oath of office, launched to the Title V 3331 oath of office within 30 days.
Hope you got
after
your
the
affidavit.
appointment, okay, shall in this context means must file the oath of office required by Section 3331 of this title, Title V, an affidavit that neither he nor anyone acting in his behalf has given, transferred, promised, or paid any consideration for or in expectation or hope of receiving assistance in securing the appointment. Ladies and gentlemen, if they have the Title V 3331 oath of office, but they didn't launch an affidavit stating that they weren't swayed or bribed or paid for or promised anything, or they didn't promise anything to somebody else.
Null and void ab
Nobody in their
initio.
party promised anything. If they don't have this affidavit launched to the oath of office, ladies and gentlemen, they do not hold the office. Okay? Then we go to Title V, United States Code 3333, employee affidavit. Why are they being considered employees? Because they're operating under the Reorganization Act as in a administrative capacity as ministerial administrators, whether they're administrative law clerks, administrative law judges, whatever the case may be. They're working for a subsidiary corporation known as the state of, all right, which is a subsidiary corporation of the parent corporation known as the United States that was created under the Reorganization Act of 1871, all right? And this is their loyalty and fealty and striking against the government, okay? This is them saying that they're not going to overthrow the government, engage in sedition, insurrectionist behavior, treason, mixed war against the Constitution, mixed war against the people. So let's break it down. Title V, United States Code 3333. So
Shake them
far,
haters
we
off.
have three elements that they must be compliant with. Okay, must. It's not an option. All right. So even if they have the state constitution and they fulfill that state constitutional requirement for an oath, they still have to be compliant with Title V, United States Code 3331, 3332, and 3333. A, except as provided by subsection B of this section, an individual who accepts office, so who's accepting the office, okay, this is a fealty, or employment in the government of the United States. All right, now a subsidiary corporation of the United States, the parent company being the United States, is still an affiliate. Okay, they are still filling an office in the government of the United States or in the government of the District of Columbia. And we're going to get to the District of Columbia more because we're going to be talking about Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, which is a territorial jurisdiction in the federal enclaves and military zone, okay, is the District of Columbia, a 10 square mile area, shall execute an affidavit within 60 days after accepting. So the first time they do the Title 5 3331 oath of office, then they do the Title 5 3332 affidavit alongs to it, and then within 60 days, okay, after accepting the office of employment, that his acceptance and holding of the office or employment does not or will not violate Section 7311 of this title, Title 5. The affidavit is prima facie evidence that the acceptance and
anybody on here from Abbeville
or employment by the affiant
need to
does
share
not,
it
will not violate Section
so
7311 of this title.
community can wake up.
All right. So let's look and see what 7311 of this title is. 7311 of Title 5 is the loyalty and striking. An individual may not accept or hold a position in the government of the United States or the government of the District of Columbia if he advocates the overthrow of our constitutional form of government, is a member of an organization that he knows advocates the overthrow of our constitutional form of government. This is the Bar Association.
It's Title 5 USC.
Title 5 United States Code 7311.
7311. Loyalty and striking.
Through an organization, the Bar Association is a communist organization that is hell bent on overthrowing the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and it's already been proven in the House Judicial Senate Committee Review Board by a disinterested third party that found in the early 50s that the American Bar Association is a communist party following the Communist Manifesto to overthrow the constitutional Republican form of government that we have in the United States of America. Okay. Number 3, participate in striking or asserts the right to strike against the government of the United States or the government of the District of Columbia. You see how they're showing you the difference between the jurisdictions. You have the United States or the government of the District of Columbia, or is a member of an organization or employees of the government of the United States or of individuals employed by the government of the District of Columbia. This is so important. Ladies and gentlemen, when they take an oath of office, they are now foreign to you and me. They are operating under statutes, codes, city ordinances, rules, and regulations that apply to them because
foreigner, man.
A contract and agreed to be bound
foreigner
by
guy.
that he knows asserts the right to strike against the government of the United States or the government of the District of Columbia. All right, so this is Title 5, United States Code 7311, loyalty and striking.
Facts and conclusion of law. With preponderance of evidence to the contrary.
From an individual employed by the government of the United States or of the government of the District of Columbia for less than 60 days for sudden emergency work involving the loss of human life or the destruction of property. This subsection does not relieve an individual from liability for violations Section 7311 of this title. We already went through 7311 in Title 5. It's talking about the rebellion and insurrection, seditious behavior, and mixed war against the Constitution to overthrow the government or working with corrupt organizations that are hell-bent in overthrowing the government, which ties into the Trading with the Enemy Act, 40 Statute at Large 411, and, of course, 411 Section 7E being one of the most prominent parts of the 40 Statute at Large 411, which is the Trading with the Enemy Act, which under the Reorganization Act of 1871 is the trust indenture they are operating by. Okay? So, now that we know the 3 elements they must meet, they must be compliant with Title 5 3331, compliant with Title 5 3332, and they must be compliant with Title 5 3333. How do we hold them accountable? First, we're going to do a FOIA request to them demanding that they produce the Title 5 3331 oath of office, the Title 5 3332 affidavit launched to that oath of office. If they are day 31 before they filed the affidavit, are they compliant with the law according to the statutes that they are bound by? Not we, they. If it's filed on the 31st day, then it's void, is it not? Because the law is very specific and says that they have to have it filed within 30 days. Okay, so if it's on the
Not
31st day, they're not
31.
filling office, and now they're liable, and they're unlimited.
Not 2 days.
Commercial, civil, personal, and professional liability. It falls back on them carrying the primary active degree of fault for their office while outside of the office because they weren't compliant with the law, and therefore they don't fill the seat of office. Okay, so they're liable and they're indivisible, unlimited personal liability. Okay, and this was what makes their wives and husbands also accessories after the fact because of their unjust enrichment.
I hope you're hearing.
While they maintain a position as holding an office while being non-compliant. All right. So that's step one. We want their Title V United States Code 3331 oath of office, their Title V United States Code 3332 affidavit, and we want their Title V United States Code 333, where they state that they're not going to engage in mixed war against the Constitution, they're not going to violate their oath of office, they're not going to breach the trust, they're going to be in compliance, and they're not going to engage with any organization that is hell-bent on overthrowing our constitutional form of Republican government. Now,
Republican
we look
government
into the state of Nebraska, just because I'm currently working with something in the state of Nebraska, and we go to the Nebraska Revised Statutes. The Nebraska Revised Statutes in 11101 states that this is the oath of office that they must have in order to
we would have to look it up in Louisiana.
For profit, okay? So it says I, and again, it needs to be the full legal name, first, middle, and last. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic. What I love about this is they're talking about the United States Constitution and the Constitution for the state of Nebraska, which means they're bound by both. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Again, you're noticing this language, all enemies, foreign and domestic. This lets you know that this is the for-profit oath of office, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely and without mental reservation or for purposes of evasion, and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the office of, and then of course they supplant the office.
Do you stand on that oath, guy?
They purportedly are going to fulfill. And the duties, therefore, they are bound to uphold.
This for life.
Law. This is so important. It doesn't say statute. It doesn't say code. It doesn't say ordinance. It doesn't say rule. It doesn't say regulation. It says the law. And here later on, I'm actually going to show you the law. And to the best of my ability. And I do further swear that I do not advocate, nor am I a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence, and that during such time as I am in a position, I will not advocate nor become a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence, so help me God. Again, the so help me God is not a requirement. The freedom of religion, you don't have to put this on there. So if it's missing the so help me God thing, understand that they don't have to have the so help me God thing on there. But if it's in all capital letters, ladies and gentlemen, that is not English, and rightfully it's just as though it was never there. Okay, and if any of this isn't filled out properly with a full legal name, first, middle, and last name, then it is void. Okay, now, with the Nebraska Revised Statute 11101, it's not requiring them to do any extra activity here. If any such officer is not required to give bond, the oath shall be